We'll ban you. That is not a threat. It is a promise. Welcome to this week's podcast. This is an opportunity for you to ask your questions. If you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. Chris has over a decade years worth of experience. He's really good and he's willing to answer all of the questions. Don't be shy. Or you can use the text chat. We will prioritize voice questions over text questions. So please feel free to raise your hand if you do have any questions. Chris, feel free to introduce yourself as people are raising their hands.
Well, hi guys, welcome to the podcast. Here every week. I'm Chris. I'm an online personal trainer, coach. Been training people for over a decade now. Been training for going on 15 years myself. I tackle people of all levels of experience. So any simple questions you've got, any more advanced questions, really it's good to hear for people to get a chance to have a direct answer to their questions from a qualified, well-trained coach. The best thing to do is ask questions and get the right answers here rather than Googling them or trying to find them on TikTok or something, trying to shift through all the misinformation out there. Any question you have, I'm sure another 5 people will have in their head and they're too afraid to ask. And it's much better to ask a question now, get a professional answer, than to make the same mistake for the next 5 years and wonder why I haven't made any progress. So again, nothing too big, nothing too small. Any questions you've got for training, nutrition, cardio, fitness, lifestyle kind of stuff, anything you want, I'm here at your disposal. I have to nip out in about an hour because I actually going to see a new Wolverine Deadpool film. But I'm at your disposal for an hour. Any questions, hit me up.
Perfect. And if you guys don't ask any questions, I'll start spoiling Deadpool Wolverine for Chris. He's probably going to hate me, block me, and leave the server. Not really. It was okay. I think it's overrated. I'm not going to lie. I watched it. The humor is there, but I think maybe because Marvel has been doing such a really bad job, it was nice to see something that was thoroughly thought out for once in a while. Guys, please do raise your hand to come up to the panel to ask a question. Do not be shy. Thank you, Ninzaro. No, dude, keep your hand raised. What happened? Ninzaro, raise your hand. There we go. How you doing, dude? Ask your question. Come up to the panel. Okay, Lobster.
Come on down.
No, they're trolling me. I think they're, I can just invite you guys, right? I can do that.
Just force them into it. You have to participate.
Right, otherwise, we'll just go through the forum questions. Yeah, we'll get to text towards the end. Okay, we've got someone who's raised their hand. Yeah, we'll go through forum questions. So it makes for a really good podcast if it, voice related questions. So it'll be nice to have anyone, absolutely anyone. Right, gonna start screen sharing. Chris, this is your favorite part. Guys, if you do decide to ask questions, feel free to. And if you do want to ask test questions, we'll get to them towards the end of the podcast. He says disappointedly. Right, screen sharing.
Lobster, you can, yeah, of course.
Can you see the correct screen? And I need to make sure to not go to anything where people have their images for their own safety. Cool. Questions. Which muscles does the closed grip or wide grip hit? Okay.
I can't see your screen.
Oh, we having this again.
I can see it says reduced quality.
Can you guys see the screen, or is this a Chris issue?
It's an me issue, yeah, good question. Can anyone see this? Lobster, yeah, you can ask questions that you've asked in text and voice. Ninzaro, you can ask in chat, but priority will go to spoken questions.
Seems might be a Chris issue, but I will just try and rejoin and join again.
You put muting when you're gone, it's fine.
Times like this, who's that person who always asks a question? There's always someone who joins every week, always asks a question. Times like this, I miss them. Forgot their name.
Let's try again.
Always ask a question. Right,
if not, you can just describe the question to me. I'll just see.
Yeah, I'll just link it to the forum post. It might be easier.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can you see the screen? Is it loading or is it stuck in load?
It's loading, but I can't see it yet. Just link me up.
Okay. Or do you want to quickly rejoin, or I'll just link it to you?
Yeah, I'll come back. One sec. Everyone stay here.
Finally, he's gone. No, crap, he didn't leave.
Hey, Chris. I haven't even gone yet.
How you doing?
Wow.
Such a nice guy. Oh, fucking hell, finally he's gone. Guy doesn't even shut up. Just keeps yapping non-stop. Let me make sure he hasn't rejoined. Okay, guys, honest opinion about Chris. This is a great opportunity for you to. Oh crap! Hey, Chris. Hi, friend. Hi, buddy. Hi, pal.
Almost declined that. Almost declined that.
Okay, right. Can you see it? If you can't see it, we're just gonna, I don't know. Maybe we just go straight to text. I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do text. I'm gonna bait you guys to raise your hand to ask a question. Can you see the screen, Chris?
I can't see it. I'm not trolling. I'm not trolling. Give me a link.
Wait, can you guys actually see the question? And also,
Can anyone see it? Or is
it's in the question section. Army Vet Gaming says yes. Wes says no. Lau can see it, even though he's trying to show off playing. Oh, hey Lobster, we have a voice-based question. We'll do that for now. We'll just stop screen sharing and we'll get back to that. Hey Lobster, can you talk? If you are talking, we can't hear you because your mic.
Yeah,
how are you doing?
Test.
Hey,
what's good, guys? I'm doing well. Thank you to Chris, AO, and the Effective Bot for Effective Fitness Bot for doing this. I haven't been here in a couple weeks, but so here's my question. Do I just go into it?
Yeah, fire off.
All right. So I've been prepping for a bulk, and I'm planning on doing it in roughly 2-ish weeks, a little more. I'm gonna go on creatine soon, so I can try to saturate myself for it. And I think my biggest issue was at least finding a program. I was going to do Calgary, which is like a 15, 16-week program, but I'm going to fall asleep on the first month. So I'm trying to find something more linear. So yeah, I talked to a few others. I was thinking of doing 531 Jim Wendler, since a lot of people talk about it. Since you only do compound, I think once a week, I was gonna adjust it to PPL since I'm pretty much lean bulking the whole way, and I have pretty good recovery, so I assume I do well in it. And yeah, I was thinking on finishing with Candito for roughly 5-6 weeks at the end, depending on how it goes. And I was looking for feedback, advice, or is that a good, at least for the PPL variation, is that a good way to go about it? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it. I'm a big fan of 531. I'm a big fan of any program that's got progress built into it. And it can adjust it based on how your weeks go as well. I don't think there's a problem doing it as a PPL split, really. Just to mention, so 531, for everyone who doesn't know, is a strength/muscle building program created by Jim Wendler. It's not very popular anymore, but it's a very, very good program, and it's based around building strength in the squat, bench, deadlift, and the overhead press as your primary lifts. So they all have a predetermined number of lifts, of reps and intensity each week, and that increases over time, so you slowly get stronger. It's quick to say that you don't have to limit it to just doing those big lifts on it, and you can include other compounds in it as well. So you can obviously get pull-ups, rows, any kind of compound in it as well. And you don't have to. Probably shouldn't really use the 531 percentages for that, but you can if you want. I think it's very good for a muscle building program, so I think you do really well on that. I think you're kind of primed for growth, considering you've been on quite a long cut, if I can remember. I think it'd be good for you if you plan to do Candito afterwards. Is that as like a peaking for powerlifting kind of thing? Because 531 is very good for building strength, but it's not a powerlifting program in the sense of this will give you a high 1-rep max. What 531 will do was build muscle and give you the potential to then peak to a max. So is Candito meant to be for a peaking at the end?
Yeah. So So since I wanted to put on a bit of size, and I have a background of doing bodybuilding, or at least bodybuilding programs like PPL. That's why I wanted to switch it up, because I think Calgary is more of a powerlifting program, which would be good if I'm stay around the same weight. And yeah, I was thinking, I don't know, like if I do 3-4 months, then I readjust on 531 depending on where I am. And either I keep bulking on Candito, or I recomp or something, or what's the best trajectory for that in your opinion?
I mean, honestly, from where you are, you're incredibly lean, and you're your body's weight very low for your height, but you still got a lot of muscle. So I think if you keep the surplus relatively low, you could probably keep on 531 for at least 6 months, in all honesty, and make small changes as you go.
Yeah.
You know, 531's got built-in deloads, so if you do actually abide by those, you can get a lot of mileage out of 531. And it's quite customizable. So I would say, look at, I don't know if you've read all the books and different versions of it, but there are lots of, you can do things like boring but big. You can do other things, make it more of a bodybuilding emphasis, because Jim Wendler's very much on, you do the exact same upper body as lower body, basically, and do lots of conditioning as well. So if you, are you planning to do the conditioning alongside as well as 531, or just use it as like the muscle building, bodybuilding part of it?
Very slight. So I have, since I'm working, I only have about an hour to train in the morning. So my gym typically opens at 5 a.m. and I try to be out by 6. And since I have limited time, I'm trying to at least put a lot more emphasis on my compounds, which is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And using the rest of the time for accessories and whatnot. I typically warm up just cycling or doing some assault bike or something. Stretches, of course, and yeah. So I wouldn't really be able to have a lot of time to do cardio, at least.
Okay, it's not really a problem. It's just interesting because Jim Wendler's a whole holistic, you must be a full athlete things all the time. That's not a problem. Yes, I suggest maybe look at something like 531 for the compounds would be very good. And then he's got a few different templates which you can use, or you can simply add assistance to it either way. You're gonna, yeah, that's good. I think it'd be very good for you. I think you've got lots of space to grow on it. I think you're in a good position to put a lot of muscle on. With the creatine as well, especially, it should be quite useful to you. But I would keep the surplus quite low. To be honest, that way you can get more cycles out of it. But I think it could be a really good program for you. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Awesome. And I'm thinking of also getting a weightlifting belt. I never had one, just for the squats and deadlifts, because just for precaution, just for safety, and it helps with bracing. So right now I want to prioritize not getting injured, or at least keeping this steady. And since that's the program part, this brings me to my second question on the diet. So I've read online that a lean bulk, as a lot of people mention, like 200 to 300 calories a day surplus is healthier. It's more sustainable. I also read some stuff that you can only put on like a certain amount of lean muscle mass a month or so. I think it was like 100, 200 calories or something like that of lean mass. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you. And and I also read that something about like a 500 surplus is generally more effective, at least in building strength, muscles, and all that. But just less sustainable because, of course, you put on more fat. So, any advice you have on that as well? I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, good question. So you're absolutely right. You can't force eat additional muscle on. Your body can only produce a certain amount of muscle tissue, like raw muscle tissue, a month, or given any given time period, and you can't speed that up. Obviously, you want to train hard as you can to maximize the chance of building it, but you can't simply go full, George Lehman Dreamer bulk, have a 2,000 calorie surplus a day and add loads more muscle. That's not going to work if you're a natural lifter, and also especially like yourself, you're an experienced lifter at this point. Sorry.
Yeah. Was that
No
a
worries.
question?
No, sorry, I think your mic just went. So I would, for your position, because you've already built a lot of muscle, obviously, you've got a very good foundation built. I wouldn't be trying to have a huge surplus. I think most of the gold studies you want, but I think most of the time when you see a real study based saying 500 calories is better than 250, I think that's because it gives you more of a buffer. And I think people are very careful about trying not to overeat, and people perhaps underestimate their surplus. So if you say eat 500 calories, I know someone's going to eat at least more than maintenance. So that's more of an easy way to make sure they're getting the surplus in. If someone said 250, people split it and get time out, or just to get the fraction amount. I don't too much fat. So I think 500 just gives you enough leeway to do it. 250, if you can cut your calories properly, which you can, aim for 250, I think, because I don't think you're going to build more muscle. I do think at that point, training hard and the program is going to be more important for building muscle than having a huge surplus. So yeah, I'd have a small surplus for you. That way you can keep the leanness, but make sure you're not obviously malnourished, you're not feeling too tired all the time. You've got a good tolerance to volumes. I think you'll be fine with this program. And yeah, I say start with 250 and go from there. If you're I don't think the scale should go crazy for a bulk. I think it's more sustainable. And good idea getting a belt. I don't think anyone needs a belt, but it does give me a lot of confidence. I feel much more confident when I'm lifting with my belt. But I would say when you start wearing it, don't go into max weight straight away. Do spend a period learning how to race with the belt because it's slightly different, and your form will be very slightly different. So just build into that for a week or two. Don't put it on and go for a max out straight away, basically. But no, it's a good idea to have.
Yeah, of course. But that was my plan. So I appreciate your help, and Chris has been I've been hassling Chris the past few weeks on this, so this is a nice little closure, I hope. But yeah, thanks for the advice. I really appreciate it, and hopefully yeah, we're getting more questions. So thank you guys.
Thank you very much for the question, Lobster. I'm not going to lie, it took up way too much time. This is meant to be for new members, meant to be for people who don't know anything. You're already an expert. You have a great physique. You're taking up everyone's time, dude. Now, that's a joke. Really do appreciate asking the question, especially when there was dead space. If you do have any other questions, feel free to ask. And yeah, stay to the podcast towards the very end. And thanks for showing up. And I'm also glad to hear about your progress.
Bro.
Sums it up. That sums it up.
Oh gosh, I love this dude. Cool. Next person would be Weki. Hey Weki, how are you doing, dude? Or is it Wiki? Can you come up to the panel to ask?
Weki, you here? Weki.
Man
with the penguin profile picture.
In the meantime, we'll move to upwards arrow. Oh, Weki's here. Actually, upwards arrow will get to you right after. Hey, Weki. Is it Weki or Wiki? Just for our clarification.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, dude. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, the question is just, can I walk for 30 minutes a day, and would it be the same as sprinting for 5 minutes?
Okay, good question. So both are good for exercise, but they're going to have a different effect on your body. Purely because of the intensity. Sprinting is, by definition, it's a high intensity, so it's going to be quite taxing on your muscles, also on your lungs, your full system. It's a very taxing thing to do to sprinting. And 5 minutes is quite a long time to sprint for. For example, when you do Olympics, 100-meter sprint is done in 10 seconds or so. It's very intense, it's short term. So 5 minutes of sprinting is actually a lot of work, and it's going to be very tiring for your system. And also, because it's so high intensity, it's going to help build some muscle. So for your hamstrings especially, it's going to be good for that. Walking 30 minutes is great. It depends on the intensity, but generally walking is much lower intensity than a sprint. So it's going to be good for you. It's going to be good to build it up. But if it's a very low and slow walk, it's general activity, but it's not really going to build a muscle or have a massive positive influence. It's going to be good for you, but sprinting is going to be more taxing on your body and also build a bit more muscle. So both are good. If you can do both, that's great, but they're going to have different energy systems and different effects on your muscles.
And if I were to walk like really, really fast for like 15 minutes and your legs actually start to hurt, would that be the same?
It's going to be closer, but sprinting is going to be an all-out effort, so it's going to be more taxing on your muscles. So if you do a very fast walk, it's going to be. So if you're going to do a very fast walk, it's going to be it's going to build some muscle over time. Yep, but a sprint's going to be more like a high-intensity lift, for example, than a very low-intensity lift. So a fast walk is very good for building up your lungs, your cardio capacity, and your ability to do work. But a sprint's going to be more of a muscle-building activity and a high intensity, if you know what I mean.
All right. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the question, Weki. And also, huge shout out to Weki. Guys, Weki has helped sponsor the server. So this podcast is brought to you by, drumroll, Right to Bank. So Right to Bank is an online platform that provides free resources to help you learn how to monetize your community. Really would appreciate you guys checking it out. Speaking to Weki, he's really, really intelligent. He's given me some pointers and tips, especially on the social media side of things. You know, we've literally surpassed 25K followers on the Instagram. We're growing extremely fast. He's very knowledgeable, and he's providing all of these resources completely for free. Weki, feel free to post your... Actually, yeah, can you post your link? Wait, don't test that, because the perms in the server is a bit shaky. Let me post it for you. I'll just quickly get it. Yeah, while I'm getting
this
the
mistake
link,
before.
Wacky, just feel free to explain, what you do, how you help people, and the kind of educational resources that you provide.
Right. Um, so to start with the story, around 3 to 4 months ago, I learned the skill and monetized the skill for me to make around side income from home, and it worked out for me. And the reason why I decided to like make a newsletter and make it like free for everyone to learn that skill is because it actually helped me like make a really good side income on the side. And I haven't been able to quit my 9 to 5, but before we were literally like working like really hard. I was working like 2 jobs, and now like I got a part-time job, and this is something I can do as a side gig. And it's like I really enjoy it. And the work that I have to do is mostly like writing a bunch of emails, like 2 to 3 emails a day, which is like 30 minutes of work because I already have experience. And like I get paid like a lot. I don't want to say numbers because it kind of depends on your skills, but the skill, it sort of as like you have to like write emails for other companies, and the newsletter, like the newsletter that I provide for you guys is like free, and I literally teach you like everything that you have to know, how to get started and how to learn that skill, find the companies or a person that needs that skill, which is writing emails. And you just come in and then you pitch your services, and the person will pay you. Now, I don't want to say numbers because it sort of depends again, but if you like want to check it out, subscribe. That would be a great, really helpful.
Perfect. Yeah, I actually would subscribe to that. One thing I am kind of like struggling with is TikTok to some sense. Although the Instagram is doing well, there are some skills that I do have. So just getting like regular newsletter information concerning that would help a lot. Yeah, once again, really thanks for sponsoring the server and sponsoring this podcast. There's also an upcoming giveaway this week. Hosted by Wacky as well, guys. Really would genuinely appreciate it if you support him, because as the sponsor supporters, we support them. I was going to say it's gonna be the Mr. Beast methodology, but with everything that's going on with Mr. Beast, I might as well.
No,
it's
no,
the,
no, don't say it. Don't say it,
it's
don't say it.
communism done right. It's communism done right, right? Cool. Thank you very much, Wacky. Feel free to stay to the podcast towards the very end. Your link has been posted, guys. Just sub to the email. You might learn something new, something beneficial, even if you don't use it. But cool. Back to the podcast. Upwards Arrow, how are you doing? And thank you very much for waiting. Should I call you Batman?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you do the Batman voice before we start?
Hello?
I hear you.
Yeah.
Or is that Batman or is that a vampire?
The question is,
I just keep interrupting you, don't I?
Batman,
You just keep ignoring me. Just go.
I would. Over the best.
My English is not that very good. The question is it okay to do my leg workout after 4 hours? 4 hours after any leg sport, like cycling, football, or basketball?
Okay, good question. And your English is
Hello?
great. Don't worry about that at all. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, so it's good to separate the two. Ideally, you would do legs before that, but as long as you have a good break between them, it's not going to be the end of the world. Don't worry about it. It's better to train your legs afterwards if you have to than to not do them at all. So yeah, if you can wait 4 hours, even longer would be great, but as long as you have a bit of rest in between, maybe you have something to eat, you're good to go, not a problem.
Oh, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the question, Upwards Arrow. If you did miss anything, there is going to be the VOD of the podcast, and this is a good segue. Remember, guys, it isn't strike force. Is it in strike first? It is strength first. Support SDR Chris on all. Support SDR first on all platforms. I got it wrong on purpose because you started sighing. That is the best ad. When you're doing mass promotion, you should use these clips and turn it into like a montage. And this way you've got like experience and stuff like that. You've got someone vouching for you that is very credible. So you probably get more clients that way. While I'm talking, I'm still trying to find the link. I'll post the link right after. Ninzero, feel free to ask your question. Can you join the panel? I found the link. Here we go. Here we go. Support Chris on all we'll get to text questions towards the end, mate. It's way better for podcasts, and then we probably would have to be reading like walls of text. And I know Chris loves that. I definitely don't. Gio, how you doing? How's school
Is
going?
it me?
Yeah, mate, it's you. No, it's the other Gio.
It's summer vacation. I passed everything.
Oh, congrats, dude. Good job. Feel free to ask a question.
Thanks.
Good job.
Thanks. Okay. Chris, what do you know about strength development as a priority when doing powerlifting focused training is your main thing, while also just doing assistant work so you keep growing, so it's not like a pure power building program.
Okay, so we're
Powerlifting
talking.
program.
Yeah, so we're talking like a power building / get strong and get athletic kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Well, honestly, I think more powerlifters should be doing more muscle building exercises anyway, because it gets to a point when you're going to be limited how much strength a certain amount of muscle can produce. So you're going to have to get bigger at some point as well. You have weight classes. So yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. I think everyone should be. The best way to train, I think, is to have a strength emphasis for some big lifts, then do some more aesthetic things to fill in the gaps. The idea is to do the big lifting for your bench, squat, deadlift, for example, then fill in the gaps with some hypertrophy work, and then do some cardio. So in that case, I would think, well, as Lobster's doing, I think we should hop into something like 5-3-1. That way you have the progress built in for the main lifts, and it gives you room to build the accessories or assistance, or just, it depends how you want to refer to it. Powerlifters often refer to secondary work as like assistance work or accessory work, depending on how related it is to building the main lift. But I think you should just get some hypertrophy work in. So yeah, do your planned bench, for example, then get in some high volume, high intensity work in for your chest, triceps, and true muscles, really. I think that's a good way to do it. So have a plan for your main lifts, build in some progression in there on the powerlifting side, and then don't worry too much about the reps or the reps for the assistance work, muscle building work. Just get in some high intensity sets and get on with it. I don't think it's much to worry about.
Okay, that was like my intro question. Now I'm gonna ask the more personal question.
No, sorry,
Personal
go ahead.
questions, go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let's go.
Am I not allowed to ask a question, bro? There's favoritism in here.
I didn't say anything. I just said, "Oh gosh," I was praying. I'm Christian. I'm religious. I was in Sunday tomorrow, so I'm praying.
Oh, stop! Get out of here. I'm gonna host now. Okay, actually, okay. Question now. Okay,
let's go.
so I run 5-3-1. Are you familiar with the different variations Wendler has posted for a long time now? I read the book. I don't
There are some, which book did you read?
the Forever one.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, nice. Yep, solid. Yep, semi-familiar.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah.
So I'm running 5-3-1, and I think I asked this in chat, but I'll just ask it in the Q&A, so there's content. What did you think about the 3-5-1 format opposed to the 5-3-1? Because he recommends that a lot too.
Did you say 3-5-1?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, to be honest. Especially if you're going for more of a powerlifting, want to lift heavy kind of side of it, because whilst 5-3-1 is very good, I do find it more of a hypertrophy / base building program than a 1-rep max builder directly, which is what gym's all about. And I think that's a good idea. I like the philosophy of not going super, super heavy too often, building up the muscle. And then if you want to go for 1-rep max, you can. So I think that's a good way to do it. 3-5-1, I think, is good as long as you are conservative with your weights and your singles. Does 3-5-1 involve taking singles or not?
3-5-1 is basically the same as 5-3-1, but he says he arranges it in such a way that the lighter week is in between the two heavy weeks, so you actually recover slightly better. That's what he says, anyway.
Okay, I will double check on this to give you a fully informed answer of it. But Jim Wendler's generally a smart guy, so I would generally trust what he says, as long as you don't do his stupid strength standards you did with Paul Carter, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, just one more small question about the way he limits assistance work. He instead of number of sets, he likes to write down like a total amount of reps, like 25, 50. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
in this, so apparently I have to be really conservative with the assistance. And I was wondering if doing isolation work for like the arms, for example, would mix into that, or can that be like outside that limit?
Yeah, sure. So I don't really want to speak for Jim Mundler because he's an extremely experienced,
Yeah,
successful
of course.
coach. But in my experience, he very much focuses on be a big strong guy by doing compounds almost all the time. So he'd rather you do say 25 reps of chin-ups than do loads of curls, which is good for him. But I think if you want to train for a certain aesthetic, at some point you're going to have to do a lot of assistance work, a lot of isolation work. So instead of saying 25, and also he's very much a simple, do it simple, make it as, less messing about as possible. So I wouldn't take 25 reps necessarily. I would say maybe do a couple hard sets instead, or maybe up to 3 hard sets and move on from that. So if that means doing 2 hard sets of chin-ups and then 3 sets of curls for biceps, I think that's absolutely fine, because bicep curls are going to be less taxing than, say, super hard loads of chin-ups, for example, or heavy bent over rows. So I would leave room for adding that. Also look into his things like he's got a beach body variation and things like that. You can look into where he has more aesthetic parts to it. But yeah, don't worry about not untaxing things like tricep extensions, lateral raises, for example. You can always add a couple sets of those on the end. I wouldn't worry about the strict reps allowed for that. No, I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Okay, so I'll just add them and not worry about it. Okay, thanks. That was the final question. Now someone else can pull up. Thank you again.
Oh, sorry,
Damn,
you guys
the whole-
finished. Wait,
that was
Gio, you're still here. Sorry, dude. I didn't know you were asking questions. I just literally fallen to sleep. No, I'm kidding. Really do appreciate you, dude. Thanks for coming up to the panel to ask your question.
Okay.
It makes for really good podcasting. And I did not sleep. That was acting. I am a good actor. With that information.
Yeah, sure, buddy.
I'm gonna move you back to the panel. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you. Ninzero. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Can you speak? And really do appreciate you for doing this. And do know you want to do text question. Voice questions just make really good for podcasts, and I'm trying to
Doing
put
what?
all of these things
Doing
on
what?
TikTok. I'm gonna ignore anything Chris says except the answers that he's gonna give, obviously. How you doing?
I'm overweight. I need fitness tips in general, maybe.
Okay, fitness tips in general. Okay, so quite a broad thing to ask, but we'll go anyways. So the basic, if you're starting, this applies to everyone. You want to have basic, simple nutrition, and you want to have a lifting program that can get you stronger and build muscle over time. So for diet, we keep it simple. You want to have enough protein each day. So aim for around your body weight in pounds per grams of protein. If you're a bit lower, it's not the end of the world. Then make sure you're eating some vegetables, fruits, and greens, and add some fats and carbs after that. That will get you most of the way there for progress. Try to sleep at least 8 hours a night, and try to get in the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Train all of your body. So you can use machines if you want to, but make sure you're doing some upper body pressing, so pushing things away from you. Do some pulling, so pulling something towards you, and some sort of leg pressing or squatting, and a hinge, so bending at your hips and straightening up. Try to get a little bit of cardio in a few times a week, so moving around more, being more active, and that will get you ahead of 95% of people out there. So it's basically keeping it simple, doing the basics, having logical, sensible, healthy foods to eat, not too much of them, training hard in the gym, and sleeping well at night. That will get you 90% of the way there. Does that help you at all, or is that too simple?
Yeah, thanks. I'm wanting to start a routine to exercise and do some cardio. Most of the time, I eat vegetables and rice, and maybe some protein, and maybe some tips on pulling or pushing exercises.
Okay, good. It sounds like you're off to a really good start. I will say try to get some protein in each meal if you can. It doesn't have to be meat, but it can be. It can also be dairy. It could be a protein shake if you want to, but supplements aren't essential. I didn't have protein shakes for the first 10 years of training, so it didn't hold me back. So for pushing and pulling exercises, this could be anything in your gym that's available. It can be a machine. But anything like a seated chest press, so push it away from you like that, or it could be lying down with a dumbbell or a barbell, anything pushing something off your chest. Try to do a pressing that's over your head if you can, or an incline. So it could be a machine that's got a thing to hold handles either side and push up, or it could be dumbbells. And for pulling, it can be the same thing. So it can be a seated row with your chest supported and pulling towards you, or just sitting up, pulling something towards your chest. And something like a lat pull down or a pull up when you're doing a vertical pull. And that will get you a long way. That's all you really need to do to start off with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks. And I have another question. So people say cutting is not good for weight loss. So I want to know what ways I can do to stay fit without uh, growth stunt.
Okay, yeah, good question. And it's right. If you're under 18 especially, you shouldn't be trying to go for an aggressive cut, which is what we mean by a calorie deficit to lose fat. This is because if you're under 18, your body is still growing and developing. And when you cut your calories and nutrition too low, you're going to limit the chance your body to grow and develop fully. So it may affect your height, things like that. Also brain development, but that's already damaged in this place anyway, it's fine. So in this case, what you want to do is focus on eating healthy, filling foods. So for example, have that are low density in calories. So things like vegetables you're already eating are great because you can eat a lot of vegetables, get very full, get lots of nutrition from them, and also it's generally lower in calories compared to something like chocolate, for example. If you have 100 grams of chocolate or 100 grams of broccoli, which is going to be more filling, the broccoli, which is going to have more calories, the chocolate. So when you focus on eating whole foods generally, things that are full of nutrition and nourish your body is a good way to maximize nutrition whilst minimizing the calories. And then when you have a bit of cardio, when you're training hard in the gym, lifting weights, you're naturally going to slim down a bit, build muscle, and your body's going to develop in the way you want it to. So this is why I recommend a recomp. So changing your diet, still training hard, focusing on whole foods, whole nutritious foods that makes sense. And that way you can achieve a small calorie deficit without depriving your body of the calories and nutrition it needs. You give your body everything it needs, and you can also reshape the body positive way, build healthy habits, and build a healthy life after that. Does that make sense? So basically, we're trying to improve our body composition, more muscle, less fat, by simply eating better foods and training hard and letting the body take care of itself without actively trying to reduce calories too low. Does that make sense at all?
Yes. Yeah. What general exercises should I do to lose fat while maintaining a calorie deficit?
Okay, so generally we try not to do too much exercising off calories, but anything that's a low intensity cardio is really good for that because it makes your body better at burning fat and also generally improves your fitness, and you can train harder in the gym. So anything that's a low intensity, moderate intensity cardio, so not sprinting, for example, is something like a moderate intensity cycling for half an hour, walking uphill for half an hour, an incline. Could be on a rowing machine or something like that, but some half an hour or so of moderate intensity cardio after training or a different day to training, was a really good way to build up to a recomp and make your body more efficient at burning fat. So that's what you should do. Any kind of low intensity cardio.
Okay, thanks. And one last question. I want to know what foods I should avoid to maintain my diet.
Okay, sure. So no foods are off limits entirely. When you have a really restrictive way of looking at your diet, it leads to complications. It can lead to issues with food later on. So I wouldn't recommend having any foods you can never have. But if you focus on whole foods generally and have an extra treat once in a while, that's not a problem at all. Generally, we say aim for 80% clean and then 20% whatever you want. For my diet, for example, I keep my body fat very low. I eat lots of fruits, vegetables, meats, potatoes, and so that. But then again, I'll have cookies most days, for example. Like as long as you eat mostly whole foods, aim for 80%, then that's the best thing to do. Don't worry about having any foods off limits. No foods are off limits, but have them in moderation and having look at your diet as a whole, not as one small part. So no foods are off limits, but obviously eat more vegetables and fruits than say chocolate, and you'll be fine.
Okay, thanks for all the advices. I'm kind of new to talking in voice, so I'm a bit embarrassed.
No problem at all. Thank you for coming and asking the questions. It's been really good. Good to talk to you. Hope you see you again in the conversation. Yeah. See you next week.
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very
Thanks for
much,
your time.
Nenzero. Really do appreciate you. Oh, he's left. I'll continue saying what I was saying. Feel free to stay to the very end. Is Nenzero still here, or am I just yapping to myself? I'm just yapping to myself. Cool. Chris, what do you want to do? Do you want to do forum questions or do you want to do text questions?
I've got maybe 20 minutes. Would you want to do a quick blast through the text questions?
Yeah, we'll do
I know
the
you've been
text
very patient in
questions.
text.
I'll see if there's one really good forum questions. If there's not, we'll just end with text
Yep,
questions.
we'll get to that. I know Alvin's asked a question before.
Perfect.
Lobster's got a question as well. But I'll quickly blast through and check it.
Ooh. We have a game changer. Bold Duck as a voice question.
Oh, shoot.
Hello.
How you doing,
hello.
dude? And
I'm
why
doing
are
good.
you
How
a
about
bold
you?
duck? What's going on? Is it alopecia? Is it male
Bold,
pattern?
not bold.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Why are you so
no,
bold?
I'm just,
He's confident. He's confident. He's not lack of hair.
I'm just bold. You know.
The
I
joke
wear
could have
good
worked better if it
medicine,
was
but I'm also
bold.
bold.
Yeah, I butchered that. I'm a struggling comedian. Sorry, continue what we did.
Yeah, you're trying your best. Chris, I once again have a very specific question for you.
Let's go.
So, if I remember correctly, your niche position in coaching is gamers, right?
That's right.
All right. Okay. Coming from a position, right, where I was like a hefty gamer myself, like 150 hours in Steam, I quite much like know the struggle of actually not wanting to cook food and rather enjoy food that was like keeping it so simple and stupid, you know, like quick crap in the fridge, just put food in the oven, not doing that anymore, obviously. But these foods are like mostly dense in caloric and pretty low in micronutrients. And if you add a cut to it and you don't have much playroom, your choices are getting like really slim. And usually you have like an approach like CICO, calories in, calories out, no food is forbidden, and whatsoever. My question is like, do you ever just advise clients to take specific supplements to help with the whole macros? And to keep the question a little bit more harder, we're pretending we do have a blood test. So you know the deficits.
Yeah, in which case I think there's a time and space when people simply don't have the will or the energy or the intention of eating well. And some people just come to me not necessarily wanting to be healthy, just wanting to lose fat and look better. In which case, yeah, we do look at other supplements and basic things to cover the bases. Multivitamins are a good way to start, things like that, just to cover the bases in general. You look at things like cod liver oil or krill oil just for some nutrients like that. Yeah, it depends on the person, individual. Some people, depends on what your goals are. If you want to be super healthy, at some point you're going to have to start eating a more nutrient-dense diet and eating more things. If you want just fat loss, I've had people who lose fat simply by ordering different things from food being delivered. Like you can get calories, obviously, you know, you can get a calorie deficit from anything. Making a different order at Chick-fil-A, for example, instead of having something else, having Chipotle and various things can make a difference losing calories for that way. So yeah, absolutely. We do look at having some supplements, but that's generally not what I like to start with. Depends on the budget as well. A lot of people come to me who don't have a whole lot of money to play with, so we don't focus on that. We focus on whole foods instead.
Yeah, true. It matters like the whole circumstances and what the client is in. But how important do you reckon is the micronutrient timing? Because you know there's like synergist effects, interference, effect of most nutrients during the day regarding hormones and activity and so
on. Honestly, it's not really a priority. It's way down on my list of priorities for my clients, especially, and also for myself. I don't put a whole lot of stock in that. I think if you've got that much to worry about, that's really a great position to be in. I do think timing of things is very minimal. Some things are better right before bed, help you sleep, magnesium, for example, things like that. Some things you don't want to combine, and some things you do want to have, some supplements with fats, for example, for absorption. But that is really the real micro. And I think most people I work with, 95+% of people I work with aren't worried about that kind of things. And that's the really fiddly things that I think is more of a min-maxing thing. I don't think that's really worth worrying about most of the time. I think some people are worried about that, but then it goes into things like biohacking, which I think is very gimmicky and not really my thing anymore. It was cool when Tim Ferriss was doing it in 4 Hour Body 10 years ago, but I think it's a bit past it for me, at least. Maybe I'm just boring, I don't know.
No, it's good. It's good. So you're basically saying invest 20% to reach 80%. Like just trying to keep it simple to like reach most of the thing you want.
100%. 100%.
The most amazing, important, whatever interesting thing is that example it would be iron, ferritin, right? During working out or basically after working out, there's like a raised protein hepcidin level that decreases iron absorption rate. And there's also interference with caffeine and collagen, like other things. Best circumstances to take iron before working out, which I did, and yeah, I got low iron levels. Quite funny.
Yeah, it can definitely make a difference. But I think generally, if your diet's good on the whole, it's the most important thing. And
yeah, that's true. It's just that I looked into it basically because I have those blood results, and now I'm taking the consideration basically that I do change the timing of my micronutrients because it's not always like working the way we are mapping it out, like before workout with some multivitamins or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Again, I'm not a nutritionist. That wouldn't be my. I can't really recommend people take certain supplements all the time, that kind of stuff. So that would be kind of a medical side to it rather than the fitness coaching side to it, if you know what I mean. But you're absolutely right. That's why it's a good way to talk to a medical professional about it, especially someone who's open to developments in science, know what's going on, rather than just we learned this 10 years ago. This is what you do now. But interesting. Thank you.
Right. All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Boldoc, and thanks for the $1,000. Really do appreciate it. People like Lobster who fell asleep missed out. Appreciate you, dude. I'm going to add you back to the audience. Feel free to listen to the very end. You might learn something very educational. You definitely know more than I do. And thanks for asking a question.
Okay, are we blasting through text questions now?
Yeah.
I know Alvin's been here waiting.
Yeah,
He's here every
you
week,
can
so
pretty much free. How long have you got left? 5 minutes? 10 minutes?
We can do 10 at a push, yeah.
10, perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, Alvin, how are you doing, man? Thank you for the patience. I know you're here every week, so thank you for waiting around for me for this. So much loss of progress last week. I was 51 kilos. Now today is 49.35. What happened because I got sick and stayed 2005 the calories, but I'm throwing up, vomiting. Real English of it. It's progress. Okay, sorry to hear you've been unwell. The main thing to focus on now is eating enough food and getting back into it. So honestly, within a week, you may have lost some water weight, but you're not really going to lose it in the muscle. You haven't, just so you be clear, you haven't lost 1.5 kilos of muscle over a week. That's not how it works. Your body wants to hold on to muscle. So you've lost some water weight, maybe lost a bit of fat, but anything muscle you lost in that week will bounce back very quickly. So positive mindset, understand this is very, very temporary and it's going to bounce back straight away. No one loses muscle in a week. That doesn't how it happens. So just get back into eating, get back into training when you're healthy. Make sure you're sleeping as much as possible. This is not a real setback. It's a week, it's a blip. Get back onto the upward progress. You're still making good progress over time. You can still get stronger, do better with this. Not a problem. We've got the Right to Bank, which I just subscribed to. Make sure you guys subscribe to that. And then we have Lobster, I believe. What's Lobster say? I'm sure it's insightful and interesting. Do I carb cycle and what's your PCF split for bulk cut? I don't carb cycle. I think carb cycling is quite dated in all honesty. I think it's much better to have a consistent diet each day rather than mess around with carbs. It doesn't make much sense to me because I think it often neglects the fact that you have to digest carbs. People think having carbs one day makes you loads of energy straight away, but I find it more I feel the energy the next day, so it doesn't really work for me very well. What's your protein, carb, fats diet split for bulk and cut? So generally protein will stay the same. I generally just play around with more carbs and fats. So protein's pretty consistent for me. I aim for around my body weight in pounds. I don't think we'd have super high protein. If I do actually want to cut down super low, my protein may go a little bit higher just for satiety, but never crazy super high. Carbs I play around with, and fats are generally about the same as well. I generally just manipulate carbs, but I wouldn't say I carb cycle. I like to keep my relatively standard, really. I don't mess around too much between a bulk and a cut. I think that's quite an outdated thing to do. I don't know where your earplugs are.
There's a question
a question.
from Uwe, or however you pronounce that guy's name.
Don't clip that. We need to clip that. It needs to be playing every time someone joins the chat. Okay. I don't know. I just woke up too. Got a question, but I can't speak because I'm in the gym. No worries. How important is a fly movement for the chest, and how important is it to hit a movement that directly follows the muscle fibers? Why is it important to do that? Also, a lot of people really say you should emphasize on the stretched part of the muscle, and that is the point when the muscle can get most beating. Crazy. Does this apply to all muscles? Which are muscles which respond better to loading more for the stretched part and it just as one? Which are muscles where loading and stretch isn't worth it? So I don't think loaded stretching is really the most important thing. I think if you take a pause, but then I do like to pause at the stretch range of motion or exercises. I like to have a slight pause at the bottom, say for a chest fly, pause at the bottom, and pause at the top, peak contraction. And then a slow ish negative. I don't think it's necessarily that important to have one that follows the muscle fibers. I think having a fly in general is quite good, just for the function of the muscle. The chest tends to bring the chest function is to extend the arm away from the body and do across the body as well. So that's why a fly is quite useful, or a crossover, for example, or something like a pec deck. So I think it's quite good to have. I think it's more important to have a primary pressing movement. If I only pick one, I pick a pressing movement instead of a fly. If you can do a couple sets of flies after a strong pressing movement, that'd be ideal, I think, optimal, dare I say it. The stretch is important to an extent, but I don't think it's the most important thing. I think having a full range of motion and having high intensity is more important than that. However, if you want examples for, you should emphasize the stretch. I think chest I agree with the lats. I think lats enjoy a good stretch. There's a really good stretch at lats. And the biceps, and then I'd also probably say the hamstrings. So yeah, chest, back, biceps, hamstrings I think are more important for stretching than others, but I don't think it's the most important thing in the world. It's not as important for other things, yeah. How can I get back with my old stamina? Even when I walk a little, it maybe catch my breath. Just start slow, Alvin. Just try it. So this goes to most things. When you start from going when you've been out of shape or you've had illness, you need to start lower and slower than you think you need to and take more rest and then build up to it. Always understand that fitness, strength building, muscle building is a journey. You need to start really slow to build up. It doesn't mean you're not going to get to the end. You just need to ramp it up. So just try standing up every hour or so, something like that. Just get moving a little bit. Do not push yourself too hard. If you've been ill and sick and weak, not very nourished, keep it minimal as possible, and then let your body grow into it. You'll get stronger, you'll get more fit much faster than you think, but really do start slower and lower and less intensity than you think you need to. Yeah, Lobster nailed it, yeah. Yep. Awesome. And Army Gaming Vet's back. Vet Gaming's back. Awesome. I think that's all text questions. If I've not answered your text questions, please tag me now or forever hold your peace until next week. We have 5 minutes to go.
Perfect. I was actually just about to give Eluge a shout out because she's always here since she's rejoined. Maybe she doesn't get the King of VC role. Womp womp womp. Shout out to Army Vet Gaming. Did you win? I think you were playing Lost Ark. Oh, there was something I wanted to say before we ended. I've legitimately forgotten.
Wait, did Army Vet Gaming ask a question and come with a form check? If it works. Lobster gets it. Lobster gets it.
What? It's
Army
not.
Vet, can you tag me in a question, please?
Chris first. What?
He's being you when you pronounce my...
Wait, honestly, I don't know what's going on. I'm completely clueless. I was on... not gonna lie, I was cross-posting the stories on Instagram just to get some clips and attention.
He wasn't paying attention. He was letting me carry it as always and just wanders in.
No. Trust me. You go to Instagram and see a bunch of spam about the podcast, right? I've legitimately forgot there was something I wanted to say. Does anybody have any other questions before we end?
This is the Rick roll, I swear to God. I've trusted you, Army. I've trusted you here.
Mimi, do you have a question? Feel free to ask. I think we've got like 3-5 minutes. Chris is on his rush to go and see Deadpool versus Wolverine. You know what? I'm just going to spoil that movie for everyone. So basically, there's a guy, his name's Deadpool, and there's another guy, his name's Wolverine.
Big brain stuff.
What did You know what? Let's do this as the last one. Let's do a workout routine review. People seem to love it. And if you haven't seen
Thank you,
Deadpool versus
Lofter.
Wolverine or Deadpool and Wolverine or whatever it's called, after a month, then you deserve to get spoiled. Right? Feel free to review.
Thank you, Lofter, for posting that. Let me get this. I'll have a look at this for Army Vet Gaming because he's here. He's the king of VC. He's always here. Okay, so chest isolate press, overhead press, machine, slide lats. Yeah. Single arm row, seated cable row, upright row. Yeah, it seems fine. No problems in general. Yeah, generally that's fine. Seems it's 3 days a week. Yeah, yeah. I think that's not an issue with this. I don't see anything wrong. The rep ranges are fair. It's a good range. I don't mind that. I'm not sure. I don't know why we're doing close grip pull-ups at the end of a pull day, but we can. That's fine. I'd rather you do that as the first exercise than the last exercise. That's the change I make for that day. I can understand having a rest, but I'd rather have that as a compound exercise. I'd rather you do those first and get the most effort out of that first of all. So the leg day, hack squats, yep, single leg extension. Yes, I love single leg extensions. Lying or seated leg curls, ideally seated if you can. Leg calf raise is fine. Leg press, I'd rather do the leg press before the calves, but it's not the end of the world. Farmer carry / deadlift. If doing deadlift to the first exercise, fine. Where is that? Yeah, if you like. I'd rather not do deadlifts that late into the routine, really, but it's okay. I wouldn't bother doing the split squats after that. You've already nailed your quads with two strong quad exercises before that. Back extensions are fine. Jump rope, yeah, generally fine. Generally fine. But it is a lot of lifting. So you got set, say 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24. 24 sets is a lot, so maybe it's quite a long day. If you want to, that's fine, but do make sure you rest, have enough water for that. 24 sets is quite a lot for a workout, to be honest. Maybe drop a set of each one. Yeah. Cool. If Mimi's got a quick question, we can do Mimi, then I'm going to run.
Perfect. And I also remembered what I was going to say. I was going to say congratulations on Chris on winning MVP. Round of applause.
Oh yeah, I won that, yeah.
Yeah.
That was nice. Thank you for voting for that. Appreciate that.
I think it was only 2 votes. You only needed 2 votes to win, mate. That's how much people like the staff members in the server. Right?
Yeah, it
And one of them
always
was me.
takes my time.
Hey, Mimi, feel free to ask your question. Let's go speed run it.
Oh, you're gonna let me? Okay. So I did my first push-pull day on Wednesday after I injured my hand, which I did mention last week. And I'm struggling on like the bicep curls because we have the machine, but I can't use the machine because it hurts my elbows really bad. I don't know why. I think it's because my arms are really short. But like when I do like the weights, I only do like 2 kg, and I'm already struggling. Like it hurts like my biceps so much. I don't know why.
Okay, you could just be undertrained in the biceps. Have you trained biceps a lot in the past?
No.
Okay, you may just have a low level general conditioning, and if you've not done any like upper body sports or anything, you could just have a very low volume tolerance for it. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's not about the weight, as we know. Make sure you get some good quality sets in, and you'll build up the tolerance to volume over time, and it shouldn't be a problem. If you start low, it just means you can say, I increased my bicep curl by 20 kilos instead, which sounds much more impressive. I wouldn't worry about that.
But will I actually grow muscle if I'm just doing 2 kg and then I'm already dying at 2 kg, bro?
Yeah, no, you will. It's not a problem. It's literally not about the weight. It's about it's about trying hard intensity and building up over time. So your nutrition's good. Yep. If your elbows are bad though, I would consider looking at something, say a hammer curl instead. That can be a bit easier on the elbow to start off with. I wouldn't, yeah. But no, you can definitely still build up with 2 kilos. Obviously, ideally more weight is good. But as long as you're having progressive overload, the sets are working hard in the sets, you can absolutely still build muscle with that. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
Okay, thank you for answering my question, finally.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the question, Mimi. Really do appreciate it. Everybody who tuned in, thank you very much. Really do appreciate it. Thank you, the king of VCs. This then concludes the podcast. But before you go, remember, it is in Strike Force, it is in Strike First, it is Strength First. Make sure to support Chris on all platforms, STR First. As he supports us, we support him. If you did listen to the podcast and you felt like anything was missed, anything was skipped through, felt like Chris was interrupting himself too much, make sure to check out the VOD, twitch.tv/AOKing. You'll be able to get all the content uninterrupted. I'm working on this part. But yeah, all the content uninterrupted, and you'll be able to watch it. And also a huge shout out to Right to Bank. Thank you very much for sponsoring this week's podcast. There is a giveaway coming through this week, guys. So be on the lookout. Check out the giveaway channel. And thank you very much, everyone who stayed to the very end. I really do appreciate you. And I hope you all have a great week. And also in Deadpool versus Wolverine, the huge spoiler is that the main villain is actually